What separates the brass from the mongrels is that some of us know how to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and put in an honest day's work. With my chauffeur at the wheel, my stockholders and I will bring Calypso into the fold to improve our market share, then write off the taxes. Why settle for billions when you can have more?
Inferno's Crucible, very threshold for hell's dust, forged in flames and drenched in the old blood of many past battles. Here the material is crystal, senses evolved in the powerful levels, years of burning wreckage and broken bodies. Beware drive, feel the fire hunger, more than the flesh. It devours souls, but love, you'll need it.
Los Angeles, the city of angels, pieced back together once again to a seemingly endless reconstruction cycle.
Barely hits the moon's past, but this fragile renewal is time. Then, for one by your hand, all over. Redstone Gulch, a desolate wasteland carved by trees. Its vast emptiness serves as the perfect stage for carnage. The dry air will soon be thick with the promise of bloodshed. Its canyon walls will soon be the echo chamber of screams. Go on, driver. Prove to me that only the strong and the ruthless survive in this harsh environment. Primeval is on the hunt, and he's not too thrilled that I dare to call him an acquaintance and a mere henchman. His fury is boundless, and trust me, it's about to be unleashed on you in ways you won't forget. Westgate Galleria. Once a thriving mall, now a lifeless shell with its shutters pulled down, its doors locked tight, and no chance of escape for the shoppers. No place for bargains, only opportunity. And you, my love, are invited to the never-ending red light special, where humanity comes at a heavy discount, and many will never be able to check out.
Lindberg Heights. This place might look familiar to you. What were once blueprint of these structures are now almost completed skyscrapers. Look at that again. The octagonal generator bears surprises. The center structure resembles a citadel, and in the highest peak, you will see who is the real king of the kill. who's all grown up again, and with a new machine. Meet Mega Auger. It's been exactly 27 years since I last saw him, making him 27 years old again. I bet he spent his whole life again building what the Twisted Metal contestants destroyed in 20 minutes. And he won't let you destroy these newly built skyscrapers.
Ashland Freeway. The crumbling remains of these lanes stand as a good reminder of nature's healing, having been chipped away after devastating earthquakes. But even that destruction pales in comparison to the chaos Twisted Metal unleash. Brace yourself, driver. The asphalt of this highway to hell is about to be torn apart like never before. Oh, I never tire of witnessing the relentless fury of this holy behemoth. My old partner in crime, Minion, has been thirsting for hot fresh blood. Wanted to destroy. Once it's done, here, you'll meet him again. This time, hell.
Havenfrost. With Christmas just around the corner and no jolly old Saint Nick in sight, consider me your secret Santa. I come bearing a present for all mankind, an inferno of fire and destruction, radiant enough to stop Jack Frost in his tracks. Forget the holiday cheer, driver. Twisted metal is the reason for the season, and it will continue to be the gift that keeps on giving.
Midtown Urbania. The glowing skyscrapers pierce the darkness, a fleeting beauty destined for ruin. Soon they'll collapse, one by one, swallowed by the smothering calamity my tournament will unleash. There's plenty of room to run, driver. But don't be deceived. You can't hide forever. In the shadows of this crumbling city, you will What's that? Do you hear it? I think that's the blood-curdling laughter of Dogtooth. Much more towering than the clown you're familiar with, and much more tenacious. Unless you want to become one of his frozen treats, I highly suggest you start running. That is, unless you're brave like yourself. Now that's the circus I'd like to see. Wouldn't you know it? There's a new champion in town. Meet Warpath, Driver. A cold, unflinching machine, forced with one single purpose. Your death. No mercy. No hesitation. Just pure, unbridled destruction.
The driver of Moneybags, Chives, rolled up to the gates of my hideout, weary and tired after a grueling competition. Richard Cavanaugh, the real brains of the operation, was in the back, sipping on his scotch and smoking a cigar, eager to make a deal with me, the mighty Calypso. Calypso, old sport, he said, exiting his limo and putting his arm around me. I have to say, you are quite a difficult person to get a hold of. I said, well, Mr. Cavanaugh, when you have as many enemies as myself, you tend to have to be cautious. I'm sure you understand. Though, I'm surprised to see you in my contest. After all, as they say, what could you possibly get the man who has everything in the world? Mr. Cavanaugh said, as he blew smoke into my face. Simple. Complete control of Calypso Enterprises and Twisted Metal for good measure. I'll make a decent profit off of everything after I short it all, and I'd be the biggest conglomerate in the world. It's nothing personal, I assure you. He chuckled as I said, Dick, you really have lived up to your first name, but I have some bad news for you. You're in no position to make any wishes, and frankly, I'm appalled you dare to commodify my contest, Mr. Cavanaugh said, getting right in my face. Now hold on a second, boy. I blew all the competition away. Hell, I even survived fighting that freak in the ice cream truck. Both of them. I won. It's over. I corrected the simple-minded fool, saying, no, you didn't. Chives did. I walked over to Chives, his long-suffering butler, and explained. This man right here survived the horrors of Twisted Metal. He has bested his opponents and is the winner. You are just a fool who sat in the back and did nothing. Frankly, you're very lucky I don't have you killed right now. Mr. Cavanaugh scowled as I turned to the chauffeur and asked, now then, you've won Twisted Metal. What is your desire? The driver looked at me, looked at Chives, and said, well, sir, to be frank, I want everything Cavanaugh has. Wealth, status, respect. I'm tired of being a working horse, and I feel it would make for a very reasonable severance package. As Cavanaugh looked on in horror, I granted Chives' wish with a snap of my fingers. Chives, indeed, had gotten everything that Cavanaugh had. Clothes, mansions, assets, everything was his. He lived a life of well-deserved luxury and opulence, and became quite popular in the upper crust of society. But he never forgot his old life, as he made sure to treat his staff with respect and decency. But Mr. Cavanaugh, well, he was left destitute. Homeless, friendless, people walked by or ignored him. Now he begs on the streets, forced to eat rotten food, a shell of a man. His comfortable silk sheets were traded in for hard park benches, and every day he reached a new level of misery. He serves as a walking example that I, Calypso, will show no mercy to those who will try to take me as a fool. I am Calypso, and I thank you for playing Twisted Metal.
Inferno's Crucible. This is my first Twisted Metal contest. I've done some renovations to the Los Angeles capital entertainment. Entertainment is being destroyed. Skip the rest of the trade Westgate, Galleria. We're having a Black Friday sale. By the end of the day, nearly all vehicles should be slashed in half. to visit us all the way from hell. We do this all the Havenfrost, snow everywhere. Christmas just around the corner. We all know who's coming. Let's see what Santa this. Midtown Urbania. With buildings as tall as these, there's guaranteed destruction. Let's expect
Calypso Industries. My investors and I have been eyeing this brand and stock options for quite some time. After having my door open for me, I approached a fellow industrialist with eagerness to conduct business. He told me surely he can't do anything for the man who already has everything. I told him there is one thing, as I do believe I've earned whatever I may so desire. Ever heard of private equity? He told me he'd love to talk business, but it would have to be with the proper winner of the tournament, the driver. He beckoned for the man behind the wheel, my chauffeur, Chives, the rat I did everything for, to come forward and claim his prize. He stepped out and made his obscene wish that we trade places. I stood back, aghast, the $1 million Mayan cigar falling out of my mouth as Calypso smirked. It was the last moment I remember before slipping into darkness and awakening to more darkness. My hands, my colossal body. How does a man of this size even function? My chauffeur kicked me, calling me a vulgar slur, and told Calypso I was available for his bidding. He re-entered my vehicle and sped off. The fat pig.